Colorado sky. Friday night's calling and the towns go quiet. From Doug Shaw Memorial to John McKissick Field, Carolina football, it's the heart we feel. Pickup trucks line up, tailgates in a row, Hot Stadium's rocking, Abbeville's ready to go. The Sumter Gamecocks charge, Gaffney's standing tall, every small town's dreaming neath the lights of fall. Four-quarter Friday, where the heart beats pound, Carolina shuts down every town. From the first snap to the final play, we're living for the glory of a four-quarter Friday. In Gilbert, America, the bleachers fill with pride. Cheerleaders shout, the band's playing, no one's staying inside. The boys in pads hit hard, chasing that old dream. Under stadium lights, it's more than just a team. Mamas clutch their programs, daddies yell the calls, grandpas talk of legends in these hallowed football halls. From the low country marshes to the upstate's clay, four-quarter Friday lights the Carolina way. Four-quarter Friday, where the heart beats pound, South Carolina shuts down every town. From the first snap to the final play, we're living for the glory of a four-quarter Friday. Shaw's roar to McKissick's sacred ground. Hot Stadium's fire, you can feel the sound. Sumter Gamecocks fly, Gaffney holds a line, J-Mo run the dang ball, we're screaming for a sign. Rivalries burn bright, the clock's ticking down. On four-quarter Friday, we're the talk of town. When the whistle blows and the scoreboard fades away, the lessons from the field guide us every day. Teamwork, grit, and pride, it's more than just a score. Carolina football's what we're fighting for. From the PD rivers to the upstate's misty hills, four-quarter Friday gives our hearts a thrill. Four-quarter Friday, where the heart beats pound, South Carolina shuts down every town. From the first snap to the final play, we're living for the glory of a four-quarter Friday. So here's to the Palmetto boys, giving it their all on a four-quarter Friday. South Carolina stands
tall. Welcome to Four-Quarter Friday, part of the Chief Sports Network. Talking South Carolina high school sports every Friday morning, hosted by Justin Hall and Steve Hall. With weekly appearances from coaches, players, and media around the state. Let's go! Kick off the first quarter. Here's Justin and Steve. Happy Friday.
Welcome in. It is a football Friday in the state of South Carolina. Some of us are not in that state right now, but that's okay. Justin Hall, Steve Hall with you. It is Four-Quarter Friday here on the Chief Sports Network, and it is a football Friday. We're glad you're with us to kick things off. It's 9 o'clock on a Friday morning, and it may have been a rough week for a lot of us and a difficult week to get through, but you are here on a Friday, and we will try to help you manage your Friday with lots of football talk. It starts here on Four-Quarter Friday, and then the preview show starts at 10 o'clock with JB, JC, Phil, and a cavalcade of guests. I've let JB know, Steve, that cavalcade is my word, but he is free to use it if he so chooses. That's a great show, and we're glad to lead into it. But I'm excited. A lot of great high school action today, Steve, and we get to talk about it.
Yeah, it's the Midlands is actually just we're gonna dive right into it. I mean, it's just loaded with some great games, and let's go ahead and start off with Aiken versus Lugoff Elgin. Justin, both teams are really improved. Aiken's 2-1, Lugoff Elgin's 2-1. These teams do a little bit of different things. They're built differently. Aiken's likes to run the football. They like to play defense. Aiken's rushed for 488 yards in 3 games, and they have 14 sacks on defense. Lugoff Elgin, I'm going to let you talk a little bit about their program or their team, especially offensively, but their defensive end / linebacker, Tristan Young, he's got 38 tackles so far with 8 TFLs.
Right. Their offense is where I key in, and that's going to be the key to this game night against a surprisingly good Aiken Green Hornet team. Shamil Sadiq is one of the better wide receivers in the Midlands simply because of his burst. He's got breakaway speed. When the ball's in his hands, he makes things happen. I don't know. Again, you're on the road. Lugoff Elgin, I don't know what to think of them yet. 2-1. They did have a very good performance against Camden a couple of weeks ago. They had a great win against Laurel Richland to open the season. So what do you get from Lugoff Elgin week to week will depend, but their offense can contend. Their offense can certainly contend. And that should be a really great game over on the border over in Aiken. You've also got WJ Keenan going to Blythewood tonight. Great Falls is at Columbia. The Caps trying to get back on track now, 1-2 on the season. The May River Sharks return to Lexington County, specifically Lexington School District 2, to take on the Brooklyn Casey Bearcats. First coach of the first year under new coach Clyburn, looking for a win and win number 1. They only have 3 seniors playing on their team this year. They got a sophomore quarterback, so growing pains over at Fort Knox. The Louisville Lions will travel down to Fairfield Central to take on the Griffins. And here's the game I want to key in on. It's Dutch Fork and Gray Collegiate. And there are reasons why I want to key in on this game. Dutch Fork won this game last year 35-0. And they're on a 23-game winning streak. Stop me if you've heard this before. But specifically, defensive end Julian Walker, who's committed to Michigan. I was on the morning show with JB yesterday. Hale followed up. And Julian Walker will be in Columbia for the game against Vanderbilt on Saturday night at Williams-Brice Stadium. Kickoff set for 7:55. Airtime 7:45 on the SEC network. He's a Michigan commit, but he's visiting South Carolina. He's a game wrecker. He is a game wrecker for this Gray Collegiate offense. They have circled him and said he cannot get us off script. Dutch Fork quarterback Jackson Knox last week, 342 all-purpose yards and 4 touchdowns against Ridgeview in that win. You look at the Gray Collegiate side, running back Trevon Williamson against Marlboro County last week, 3 rushing touchdowns and 134 yards on the ground. And Corey Gleaton leads that team with 2 interceptions. Michael Bulware has 34 tackles. 34 tackles in 2 weeks. That's an insane
That's insane
tackle total, and putting himself in contention to be a Mr. Football candidate if he doesn't get too careful about it. So this game, I fully anticipate Dutch Fork winning this game. However, as we talked about throughout the week, that secondary for Dutch Fork left a lot to be desired last week against Ridgeview and a sophomore quarterback.
Yeah, and you got to give credit to Ridgeview, though. I mean, Ridgeview came ready to play. They're sustaining a lot of injuries, and we'll get into Ridgeview later to talk about their game later for this week. But Yeah, Tom Knotts was not happy after that game with his secondary, and I think I caught some his interview with one of the local TV stations, and he's like, it's not if, it's when. We're going to
Right.
fix this secondary, and so
Right.
you could tell he wasn't happy. But Ridgeview had a lot to say about it, and I think Ridgeview is going to be around for the rest of the season to have something to say about the end of the year.
I agree. We roll on here in the Midlands again. If you're new to Four Quarter Friday, welcome aboard. We're glad you're with us. This is free for you, and we hope you enjoy it. Carolina Forest, the Panthers travel to Irmo. Someone's getting a loss tonight. Both teams undefeated, but someone's walking home with an L. Batesburg-Leesville travels to Lower Richland. Last year was the first time these two teams had met on the football field since 1963, Steve. And they play tonight. Batesburg-Leesville coming off of a disappointing performance against Abbeville. The Knights of North Central travel to Mid-Carolina. And the Rebels of Strom Thurmond, I already saw it in the chat. Craig mentioned this one. Strom Thurmond going to North Augusta. North Augusta with a 3-0 record. They ran that region last year. And they're looking to do the same thing this year. Got a very strong football team. Allendale Fairfax travels to Wagner Sally tonight, while the Lions of Edisto go to OW. Orangeburg Wilkinson sitting at 3-0, a team to watch out for in 3A. The Trojans of Ridge Spring Minetta will travel over to Lexington County to take on the American Leadership Academy Patriots. Nation Ford defeated Richland Northeast last night, 56-27. That game was played on a Thursday. We like playing Thursday games in South Carolina, apparently. So the Fighting Jake Bentley's got the win last night. And here's another game I'm keeping an eye on. It's Camden, it's Ridgeview. These teams are meeting for just the 6th time in school history. Ridgeview leads the series 3-2. They won 43-26 last year. Camden is off to their first 3-0 start since the COVID year 2020. And that's intriguing to me, Steve, because even in the slow starts over the last 4 or 5 years, we've seen Camden rally and make deep, deep playoff runs down the stretch, right? So a fast start, a 3-0 start, getting Camden on the right foot. They've got a chance to do something offensively. Navier Boykin, 330 rushing yards this season, four, count them, 4 touchdowns this season. And Tylen Drakeford, 14 catches, 478 all-purpose yards, and he's got 2 interceptions as well. Ridgeview is playing their 4th straight ranked team. It's insane. 4th straight ranked opponent. They've only played 4 games counting tonight. And my highlight for this game, my headline as we try to move quickly, new QB, no problem. Sophomore quarterback Ashton Chapman is completing 62% of his passes for 449 yards and 3 touchdowns. They don't have Christian Jackson tonight, possibly with a shoulder injury from last week. That's something to monitor. But I'm telling you, Ashton Chapman can make the throws. This is going to be a great game between Ridgeview and Camden tonight.
Yeah, dude. Camden is built like to pound you. Okay, offensively and defensively, they're going to be a tough matchup. Navier, you mentioned Navier Boykin. He's 5'10", 215, a load and low to the ground. He's not 6'3". You can't go too low. Going low on him is difficult. Tylen Drakeford, you mentioned him. He's playing both ways, and he's going to be something that the Blazers have to deal with. And Ridgeview, do they have to have the close to the toughest schedule in the state so far? South Florence has certainly had like a very tough schedule as well, which they've come out of that stretch 2-1. Right. But Jaden Bryant for Ridgeview, their linebacker, is going to lead that defense against a really good Camden offense they're big up front. Coach Remp's son is the quarterback, and he's playing very well, and he's not easy to take down to the ground either. He's pretty solid. No. So
right.
Looking forward to seeing how that game shakes out. And, I might be there tonight. I'm not sure yet.
Oh, sneaky. There we go. I will not be. All right. Gilbert is at River Bluff. The Indians are traveling to the Swamp to take on the River Bluff Gators. The Blackville Hill is going to the Bulldogs of Silver Bluff. The Barnwell Warhorses will travel to the Thoroughbreds of South Aiken. Catawba Ridge defeated Spring Valley last night 24-3. So Spring Valley takes yet another loss. I believe that puts them to 1-3 on the season, if I'm not mistaken. And really quickly, Steve, let's jump down a bit. The Panthers of Pillion are at Swansea. Could be the game of the week in the Midlands if you're not careful. Definitely not a game of the week as Airport at Westwood. I can say that because I'm an alum. Airport 0-3 and not moving the ball offensively almost at all. And then another game in the Midlands to watch is a good rivalry game in Skeeza, Heathwood Hall at Hammond tonight. Hammond plays defense now and offense, but they are a strong defensive team. And then let's jump back up, Steve, before we hit a break. I know you wanted to hit on some Crestwood and Sumter action tonight.
Yeah, game of the week territory for sure. Crestwood's 3-0, running the football very well. Calvin Wofford for Crestwood is averaging 9 yards a rush. He's got 6 touchdowns, 487 yards for the first 3 weeks, first 3 games. Jordan Gadsden is spelling him at running back as well. He's got 207 yards rushing and 4 TDs. And then Marique Yates, the quarterback, passing very efficiently, averaging 17 yards completion with 4 touchdowns. And so Sumter's got their hands full tonight. And, Sumter, had a rough game a couple weeks ago against White Knoll, couldn't move the ball. And I think White Knoll took that game 28-6, if my memory's serving me correctly. But last week against Myrtle Beach, it was back and forth the whole first half, and then Sumter comes out and holds Myrtle Beach, which is very well coached at all times every year, to 0 points in the second half. And, I'm interested to see kind of what happens tonight in Sumter County.
Absolutely. A lot of game of the week candidates in the Midlands. We're just getting started. We're just wrapping up the first quarter. We still got the Low Country. We still got the Upstate. We still got the PD to come, as well as Northwestern Trojan head coach Paige Wofford. All of that coming up today on 4 Quarter Friday on the Chief Sports Network.
It's football season. The Barn Dominium Company wants to help you build your dream home with your dream space to watch the games and entertain your friends and family. Make your dream a reality. Visit thebarndominiumco.com. That's thebarndominiumco.com for floor plans, photo galleries, locations, and to learn more about us.
Oh man, the building is on fire.
Emergencies and accidents happen. When you're in the middle of a fire or water event, all you want is for things to return to normal as soon as possible. Resto Pros of the Midlands is with you, guiding you through the process and working with you to get your home or office back in working order. They'll answer your questions, discuss procedures, and can act as your advocate when it comes to processing your insurance claim. Resto Pros Midlands SC.com. Open 24/7 when you need them. Quality that is guaranteed.
When playing sports, you want a coach that will fight for you. At Hewitt Diamaduros Law Firm, we've got your back. Whether it's personal injury, insurance disputes, negligence, or wrongful death, our team delivers exceptional legal services that makes meaningful difference in the lives of the individuals and families we work for. Visit hdlawsc.com. hdlawsc.com. Hewitt Diamaduros, we're on your team.
Check the statewide high school scoreboard every Friday night on the Chief Sports app.
This is 4 Quarter Friday, hosted by Justin Hall and Steve Hall, taking a deep dive into high school athletics in South Carolina every Friday morning. Part of the Chief Sports Network.
Welcome back into 4 Quarter Friday on the Chief Sports Network. Justin Hall, Steve Hall with you as we roll along. We just hit the Midlands. We'll be hitting the Low Country right now, but I want to remind you, download the Chief Sports app. On the app, you can have access to the scoreboard. You can stream multiple games. Are you going to a game tonight? Are you possibly at a secure location at a different beach in a different state, but you want to keep up with high school football? You can do that. Download the Chief Sports app, and you can follow along on the scoreboard and do everything you need. You can also enter into the Fab Five. Again, I want to remind you that I can win, but I can't claim the prize. So you could even finish second and still get your prize as well. So that's important. All right, let's hit the low country. We got a lot of great games here to talk about too. Steve, I just want to put this out here because I love storylines. This week's the last week of purely non-region play. Like, we hit region play next week. It's your final time before you get to region, and the games do matter. Right now, the points are all made up, and the game doesn't matter. They do, though. Next week, the region play starts, and that's where we kick into high gear. But we go to the low country now. Oceanside Collegiate, the Land Sharks, off to a 1-2 start, but a difficult schedule for Oceanside. They have Ashley Ridge tonight. They're on the road. The Mohawks of Bethune-Bowman go to the Dolphins of Battery Creek. The Wildcats of West Ashley will go over to Berkeley to face the Stags of Berkeley, the Fighting Chris Deerings. And then here's a game I'm keying in on, and it's the Dreer Blue Devils going to Bishop England. Number one, I'm a Midlands guy, so I hear a lot about Dreer, and I'm also really like the name of the Battling Bishops of Bishop England. I just like good alliteration. But I took a deep dive into these numbers. Dreer's Brandon Mack last week had 15 carries for 127 yards and a touchdown against Lakewood. He averaged 8.5 yards per rush. Every time the ball is in his hands, he's close to or picking up a first down for you. But the Bishops in 2 games, Steve, are outscoring their opponents 85-6. 85-6. That defense is decent. And it's pretty good. But not only that, the Dreer running game is important. Outside of Brandon Mack, the team still ran for 249 total yards and 3 touchdowns. And I'm doing the math here. 249 yards rushing. They ended the day with 371 total yards of offense. So you tell me what the bread and butter is for that Blue Devils offense orchestrated by Corey Jenkins, former South Carolina Gamecock. I'll tell you, it's the running game. But for Bishop England, their quarterback, Quinn Mahoney, last week against Hanahan, 17 of 24, 244 yards, and 4 touchdowns. All of the touchdowns, though, on the ground last week against the Hawks of Hanahan. Hanahan, though, did rush for 132 yards. And if you take away sack yardage, it was 147. So if you're looking at this game tonight, if you're maybe going down to Bishop England or you're following this game on the app, keep in mind the strength of Dreer appears to be their rushing attack. And Bishop England was giving up some yards last week. If you're giving up 150 yards rushing a game, that's not an ideal recipe for success against a team that might have even more talent on the outside and can make some big plays. So just a game I'm watching and a game I'm keeping track of. Dreer comes in 2-1. Could they hand the Bishops of Bishop England their first loss of the season due to the run game? We'll find out.
Well, I mean, the schedule is getting a little bit tougher now for Bishop England. Dreer's obviously very much improved, but we'll have to see. I mean, this will be the best team that Dreer's played as well to this point. So, yeah, great game to circle.
It is. The Red Devils of Bamberg Earhart are 3-0. They're traveling to the Saints of Calhoun County, who are 0-3. The Bobcats of Baptist Hill will travel over to Academic Magnet to take on the Raptors. The Stall Warriors are at Collin County tonight. Hunter Kiner Tyler is traveling over to Denmark Oler to take on the Vikings. Here's another game I'm keeping an eye on. South Florence and Fort Dorchester. South Florence coming off a tough loss to Northwestern. We'll talk to Coach Wofford in our next segment about this. South Florence had a grind through the first several weeks of the season. Only one home game, and it was last week against the defending state champion. But I like their matchup here against Fort D. Fort D is only averaging about 90 yards rushing per game. And in fact, Steve, do you want a padlock stat for you? Paper popper, if you're a Josh Pate person. Paper popping stat. South Florence is averaging about 13 points scored in the first half. Not great. Not great. Do you know how many points Fort Dorchester is averaging in the first half?
I do not.
0. Yeah. So the Patriots need to get off to a quick start tonight if they want to hang in there with the Bruins. Now, I will tell you that they're averaging about 17 points in the second half. But again, Fort D's trying to do it with defense. They're averaging 46 tackles per game and only about 5 points per game. allowed. Not great offensively, great defensively. Again, just a game to watch. I want to see how South Florence responds. Tough loss at home, multiple scores. Got to go down to Fort D.
If I'm picking this game, if I'm putting on the mascot head at the end of this show, I'd have to pick South Florence here.
No question.
Fort's struggling right now. They lost big to Coach Wofford's alma mater, Stratford, last week, and South Florence has had a tough stretch. I suspect they'll probably score more than 13 points in the first half this week.
I would imagine they do. The Islanders of St. John's are at the North Charleston Cougars. Pardon me, it's North Charleston, not Charleston. Careful. The Bears or Carver's Bay go to Georgetown and take on the Bulldogs. The Eagles of Buford are 0-3. The Gators of Goose Creek are 0-3. Someone's getting a dub tonight. Congratulations ahead of time. The Bobcats of Bluffton at the Hampton County Hurricanes. And again, just a deeper dive into numbers. Both teams 3-0. Here, how about this, Steve? Bluffton is averaging 44 points a game. Hampton County, 51 points per game. I've got a feeling, first of all, if you're betting on high school football, the number calls you. Don't do that. But if we were talking over-unders here, hammer the over in this ball game. How about these numbers? Hampton County averaging 221 yards rushing per game. Bluffton is averaging 185. And Bluffton's averaging about 346 yards passing per game. Just looking at some numbers, Aiden McCarthy, quarterback for Bluffton, a great thrower, a great slinger of the pigskin, if you will. Jalen Singletary is a really good running back for Hampton County, as is Cordell Holly for Bluffton. We're talking low country games of the week now. We've hit about on 2 or 3 in this part of the state.
Justin, Aiden McCarthy from Bluffton, 1,034 yards passing with 10 touchdowns in the first 3 weeks.
I smell Mr. Football nominations if that continues.
Yeah, just behind, and we'll talk about this team later, or this game later, but Midland Valley, 1,070 yards passing and 8 touchdowns. These they like to throw it, and they're doing it pretty well.
Hampton County averaging less than half a sack per game. Again, your numbers are 3 games in, so I don't know how much you really put into that in terms of the average number out, but
it matters who they are playing as well and what they like to do.
Right, exactly. That all plays into this. But the point stands that if they're going to get McCarthy off rhythm and get him off schedule, you've got to get pressure on the quarterback. And again, that all depends on how Bluffton wants to run their offense. And are you going to be able to generate pass rush with your 4 down? Or are you going to have to go? Are you going to have to bring in some blitz packages? And how quickly are they getting the ball out? How about this? Total yards per game. Bluffton's averaging 531 yards per game. That offense is moving. It's grooving. They got it working down there in Bluffton.
I think maybe you could safely say that this team from in Bluffton, the Bobcats, I think this could be their best team since they went to the state championship game when they held it in Clemson and Coach Ken Cribb was leading it.
Absolutely.
And I believe you might have to jog my memory. That was also a team where a big-time defensive end was on that team and played at South Carolina.
Could have been. My years run together.
Well, I could have been. Shamik. Shoot, I'm scratching the surface for that name, but yes, I do have that right. I know the defensive end.
Yeah.
Played for Muschamp a little
Blackshear.
bit. Blackshear. Shamir Blackshear.
I want to thank the Mad Dog for lurking in the background and dropping that. I didn't come up with that. I'm going to credit where credit is due. I give all the credit and take none of the blame. All right. The Lucy Beckham Bengals are traveling to Hanahan to take on the Hawks tonight, while the Lee Central Stallions are 1-2. They'll travel over to take on the Fighting Josh Turners of Hannah Pamplico tonight. Burke is at Hemingway. Someone's getting a win tonight there. They're both over. The Hurricanes of Hardyville. I drove through Hardyville yesterday afternoon. They travel over to Hilton Head Island to take on the Seahawks. The Cane Bay Cobras are going over to the island to take on the Trojans of James Island, while the Warriors of Waccamaw are going to Johnsonville. Where's Lance? Lance is in the chat. Johnsonville 3-0. The Flashes are off to a good start this season. They're sitting undefeated. The Eagles of Military Magnet are at Phillips Simmons. The Iron Horses looking to get back to 500. They're 1-2. The Monarchs of Manning travel over to take on the Jaguars of Ridgeland. The Blazers of Kingstree are at an undefeated Timberland tonight. The Sharks of St. James are traveling over to take on the Fighting Jamie Bradfords of the Wando Warriors. I haven't received his score prediction tonight. I'm going to go on a limb and say 70-0. The Shamrocks of Eau Claire, Steve, off to a hot start, 2-1, traveling down to take on Williston Elko tonight. That's a good story that could be brewing in the Midlands. Eau Claire's been on some hard times for a long time, and will be interesting to see if they can get to 3-1 before they hit region play. And lastly, in the Low Country, the Warriors of Whale Branch are at the Wolverines of Woodland tonight. Who did I see in the chat? I got to go all the way back up. Roger is going to be at that. No, sorry, he's going to be at Woodruff. My bad. I saw Wood and went with it. No, Whale Branch is at Woodland. We'll get to Woodruff later, though. Roger will be at that one. So again, just in the Low Country, we highlighted about 3 or 4 potential Game of the Week nominees. We had about 3 or 4 in the Midlands as well. But when we come back from break, we will be joined by the head coach of the Northwestern Trojans, Paige Wofford, will join us right here on 4 Quarter Friday on the Chief Sports Network.
Palm Casual Outdoor Patio Furniture proudly supports high school athletics across South Carolina. If it's time to make your outdoor space the best it can be, with lifetime warranties and guarantees, visit one of our Palm Casual stores in Myrtle Beach, Bluffton, Somerville, or Mount Pleasant. PalmCasual.com. PalmCasual.com. Turn on the lights. It's Friday night.
At Moultrie Insurance, our agents are working for you. Our commercial lines of coverage are well sourced and intimately chosen. We offer commercial lines of coverage such as business owners, umbrella, property, auto, or general liability coverage, and evaluate every option to find what fits you best. Like a good offensive coordinator, we will draw up the plays, but only run with what you feel comfortable. Get in touch with our quarterback, Perry Orth, or our head coach, Frank, by visiting MoultrieINS.com. MoultrieINS.com.
It's the 4 Quarter Friday High School Show on the Chief Sports Network. Proudly covering high school athletics across the state of South Carolina. With accurate, trusted analysis, in-depth interviews with coaches, media, and players, and quality information. Hosted by Justin Hall and Steve Hall. Now back to the show. Here's Justin and Steve.
Welcome back into the 4 Quarter Friday show on the Chief Sports Network, where we even have people in Vegas watching us. And we bring in Coach Wofford from Northwestern to preview his game against South Point. Welcome, Coach.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Hey, I'm in the Bojangles line right now, so you're going to get a little real life here in a second. But thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Of course. What's the order?
Let's see. I got a couple of players with me. We go visit elementary schools on Friday morning, so I got Tamarion Watkins and Cam Vance with me. They got the chicken filet biscuit sandwich and the sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit and some Bowberry biscuits for some of the guys back at school when we get there.
There you go. There you go. That's a meal. I prefer the Cajun filet biscuit. Large order of bow rounds and give me a tea to start my day. It's completely unhealthy, but we love it. Coach, obviously big challenge for you guys tonight. You're getting it started right though with some Bojangles, let me tell you. Big challenge tonight for you guys with South Point. The glaring question that I'm sure you've gotten around your community this week and definitely within the coaches' meetings is how are we going to stop that Jazavian Currents kid? So what do you do to stop a talent like that?
I think you just got to know where he is. And, of course, he's a quarterback. That makes it a little bit easier, or he's been a quarterback. So that makes it a little bit easier to know where he is. You have to be able to contain him, not let him break the pocket, break contain, and try to hurt you with his legs. And then, you got to understand that he's make him throw for an accurate 300 yards, right? Make him, if he's going to do it, he's going to beat you with his arm. Make him be accurate to do it. So try to stick to their receivers as best you can. They've got talent all over the field. It's not just him. A lot of new faces over there this year, and they're doing a good job, and I'm sure they'll be ready to play as well.
Coach, when you're looking at your quarterback as well, Xavier Means, just give us some insight. You guys are balanced early on this season. I watched that game against South Florence last week. You guys are a balanced offense. So as you're looking at what you're wanting to do, getting ready for region play, assess your offense. Where are you compared to where you thought you would be here around the midpoint of September?
I think we're a little bit more ahead. With a brand new quarterback, we had a 3-year starter, and I'm about to pay, so I
there you go.
Apologize for
Take
this.
care of it.
We had a 3-year starter graduate last year, go play. He's at the next level now, doing a great job at Gardner Webb, Finley Polk. But I think that Xavier's done a good job so far coming in and learning. He knew it when he got here. He played here in 9th grade, played here as a sophomore, kind of waited his time while Finley was doing his thing, and now he's the starter. And we're proud of where he's doing, what he's done last week, against a very, very talented South Florence defense. Proud of what he's done, but we know there's still some work to do. He didn't grade out at 100, so there's still some room for improvement.
Steve, what you got for Coach?
Well, Coach, talk a little bit more about Xavier. Is he getting any looks yet from some colleges? I know y'all have a lot of big time players that are playing at a lot of colleges all over the southeast in the country, but talk a little bit more about Xavier and what kind of looks he might be getting so far.
Well, he's played three varsity games so far, so he can put that on tape, and I'm sure he's doing it, getting his highlights together and sending it out. The colleges know about him because I've told all the colleges to come in. We had 53 colleges visit Northwestern last spring. So when they come in, I tell them about all our players that we feel like, that want to and feel like can contribute at the next level. So they know about him. They have his name. Now the ball's in their court. You know what I mean? It's up to them.
Yeah.
His dad has some great connections. His dad's a longtime football coach as well from Maryland. So he's got some great connections there as well. So, it's just a matter of time for a talent like that to be recognized for what he can do.
Well, we're really passionate here on this show, Coach, about players and making sure that they're highlighted in this show. And are there any players that you believe on your roster that should be getting more looks?
You set me up. I need to all start in 22. How about
Look
that? And the kicker and long snapper. How about that?
And everybody in the 2 deep.
Yeah, man. We are spoiled at Northwestern to have really good kids and have really good parents at home kind of helping them out and doing their thing with them. And so when they get to us, they understand the importance of the academics in the classroom and behaving. And, if they don't, we have a saying, the nail that sticks out gets hammered. So at Northwestern High School, I would put our kids up and our character and our academics up against anybody. So, and the colleges know that, they come and they see us and they know about Cordero Patterson, they know about Mason Rudolph, they know about Ben Watson, they know about Jonathan Joseph. They know about all those guys. So they know that we're going to produce good players and good people here. And when they come in, it's not a matter of who's going to get an offer. It's a matter of when they're going to get an offer. So we don't talk about it a lot in those terms to our kids, but it's just a fact here at Northwestern.
Coach, two quick ones before we get you out of here, because I know you're waiting on your Bowberry biscuits. Number one, you just rattled off some names. How difficult is it to sustain success at a program like Northwestern? It's high school football, so you're going to get a new crop every 4 years. It just changes. You can't keep guys in there for 13 years like you could maybe in the NFL, signing them to a long-term contract. I hope we don't get to that point. So how do you sustain success the way you've been able to do with the Trojans?
Well, first of all, I went to Stratford High School. I heard y'all say, Stratford, Denny McDaniel, head coach there, a great friend of mine. We played together at Stratford. Good luck to them this week. But coming from the low country, coming up here, I wanted to see what it was. What was it about this area where they were always good, always competitive, always in the state championship, always playing to go to the state championship. Growing up as a kid, old Region 2, Spartanburg, Rock Hill, Northwestern, Burns, Dorman, all those schools, Bowling Springs, that was the big time college high school football when I was growing up. So coming up here, I was curious too, what is it? And I got to Rock Hill, and my dad was a longtime football coach at Berkeley High School, and he always talked about, the upper state and football in the upper state and region too. So I got up here and I realized, I've tried to put my finger on it, tried to figure it out. First of all, football is important. Football is important in the city of Rock Hill. Football is important from a young age. I got here and every elementary school had a football team. We had 13, 14 elementary. Every single one had a football team. Every middle school has 2 football teams, 7th and 8th grade. So our kids grow, and the coaching is superb. Our rec department does a great job. Our YMCA does a great job. Then you tackle on some of the travel teams that have kind of developed, and you're looking at of guys that are really doing a great job with these kids, teaching them from a young age the game of football. And they've played a lot of football by the time they get to me. And then when they get to me, we're at a program where you look on the wall and you see these guys, 5 first-round draft picks for one high school. That's pretty good. And then you talk about Mason Rudolph, who, let's be honest, is probably the most successful quarterback in the NFL ever to play high school in the state of South Carolina. That's just, I don't know anybody else. There aren't a whole lot to choose from, right? But he is the most successful. Thank you very much. He is the most successful quarterback in the state of South Carolina to play quarterback in high school in South Carolina, in the NFL. So our kids see that. So it's a double-edged sword where everybody thinks they're going to the NFL, right? They all know somebody who's been in the NFL, like personally, like firsthand. They don't know a friend of a friend. They know the guy.
Yeah.
So they think they're going. Well, my job is to explain to them what it takes to get there, or what we feel like it takes to get there. You've got to do the little things right every day. You've got to put in the effort. You've got to be in class. You've got to do those things that get you to that spot. And then, we're fortunate to be in an area where those players come back to town. Those players that have played come back and they come and live in Rock Hill. So they get seen and they help out too. And they're a great resource for our players as well.
Coach, one final thing. We'll get you out of here because I know you're driving. Anything, the preview show's coming up at 10. Anything you want to say to Jamie Bradford and Michael Flint?
Go Warriors, man. W&O, Wando. I love those guys. I was in Michael Flint's wedding. I've been, my career has been blessed, man, being at Wando and being around those guys, wonderful young men and wonderful fathers and great guys now. And, I feel like I should say this. I heard y'all talking about South Florence and Fort Dorchester. I got a lot of experience against Fort Dorchester from being down there in the low country. Played South Florence last week. I don't know what the spread is, but I'm taking South Florence all day long, every day. Coach Marlowe's done a great job with those guys. If the spread's 50, I'm still taking South Florence. Those guys are going to win a bunch of football games. So good for them. And I'm not gambling on that game, but if I were, I would pick South Florence.
Then listen, Coach, if you gamble on high school football, the number on the screen calls you. So make sure we're not doing that. Coach, we appreciate it. That's Coach Paige Wofford. He is driving kids back to school with Bojangles in the car. Northwestern's got South Point tonight. Should be a great one, Coach. Look forward to talking with you many more times this season.
Happy to do it. Thanks for having on, and thanks for covering high school athletics, man. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's our passion.
Thanks,
That's Coach Paige Wofford
with
the Northwestern Trojans, defending state champion, Steve. That kind of conversation is what Four Quarter Friday is all about. I'm sorry. I get juiced up talking to guys like that, men like that, who lead young men and train them up, not just to be great football players, but great men in society as well. We got a little bit of time, little bit of time. So let's do this. Let's try to get as far as we can in the upstate. And then in our final segment, we'll do a quarter and a half. All right. The Wildcats of 96 are at Abbeville. The Panthers coming off a big win against Batesburg-Leesville last week. They've reestablished themselves. They're number 1 in 1A this week, I do believe. Let me check my paper. They are 13 first-place votes. The Volunteers of Andrew Jackson, 0-2 this season. They're hosting Andrews tonight. The Westside Rams are at BHP tonight. Westside's 0-2. Tough schedule to open up the season. BHP 3-0. The Tigers of Southside are at Berea tonight. Both teams over. Both teams needing a win. Got to get one. These two teams are undefeated. The Eagles of Eastside travel over to take on the Fighting Tigers over at Blue Ridge. The MacB Panthers, otherwise known to me as the Fighting Rick Henrys, they travel to Buford of the upstate, take on the Yellow Jackets. The Fury of Fountain Inn travel to take on Carolina High and Academy. The West Stanley Colts are at Central. The Eagles of Central are 2-0 this season. And the RS Central Hilltoppers are going to Chesney to take on the Eagles of Chesney tonight. Saluda 2-0, traveling to take on the Cyclones of Chester. I would have taken Chester in that game a week ago, but I really like where Saluta's at, Steve. Saluta, to me, getting back to sort of a hard-nosed style of football that they play over there at Saluta. I like them in that matchup a lot.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Greg Warner is just trying to carry the torch and is successfully doing it so far this season. His first year of the program, Stuart Young, of course, moves over to Lexington High School and is trying to rebuild a young team over there with that's battling some injuries. But, yeah, that's a very interesting game. Chester's always got some players, and I don't really have a prediction or a good feel on what's going to happen with that game, but it's going to be pretty interesting, so we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. C.A. Johnson is at Chesterfield tonight. The Green Hornets of C.A. Johnson looking to get to 2-2. Chesterfield had a rough start week 1 against Johnsonville and getting back on track now with 2 wins. A shocking result last week for me was Clinton. I was stunned. Not so much that they lost the game necessarily, and don't let Coach Corey Fountain hear that. I was shocked by how it unraveled and how it played out. They get Chapman tonight. Chapman trying to get their first win of the season. I saw Mark in our chat watching from Vegas, so we're nationwide today, hoping for a big upset win for his Chapman Panthers. It would be an upset. Clinton trying to bounce back from a tough loss. The Cougars of York are at the Blue Eagles of Clover. And Steve, you made a note on this one that I find fascinating. If it is indeed true, if we source it well, but you found an interesting stat on this game.
Yeah, I didn't know this. And at some point we're going to have Coach Wilbright on from Clover, but this game is apparently the oldest rivalry in the state. So,
which is crazy.
Yeah.
How old this state is and how old these high schools are. Crazy that this would be the oldest rivalry in the state. Before we go to break real quick, we'll hit 2 more. Mountain View Prep is at Crescent. The Bats of Clear Dot Charter go to the Hornets of Dixie. And I'll give you one more. The Lancaster Bruins are at the Yellow Jackets of Fort Mill. How about Fort Mill getting off to a 3-0 start to the season? Congratulations to Fort Mill. They're trying to carry that over into region play. We'll take our final timeout. We'll come back on the other side. We'll finish out the rest of the upstate, and we'll hitch our wagon and head over to the PD as we wrap up 4 Quarter Friday on the Chief Sports Network.
Morning, Carl. Usual?
Yeah.
Your oldest was in here the other day. Said the 2 of you took a trip down to my neck of the woods. How'd that go?
You might as well give me one of those Carolina cars while you're at it.
I knew I liked that one.
Yeah.
There you go, my friend.
Thanks.
Hey, Carl. Congratulations.
See you tomorrow, Freddie.
You bet.
Welcome to Dry Space Crawl Space Solutions. Basement crawl space encapsulation designed for your specific needs. Your crawl space can be susceptible to all sorts of issues, including moisture buildup, mold growth, and structural damage if not cared for properly. Let our trained experts provide basement crawl space encapsulation solutions to protect your home, improve air quality, and enhance energy efficiency. Schedule your consultation today for a safer, healthier space at dryspacecs.com.
Do your wood floors need a touch-up? Visit recoatrevolution.com in South Carolina today. Welcome back to 4 Quarter Friday, part of the Chief Sports Network. Let's talk ball.
Welcome back into 4 Quarter Friday. Final few minutes of the program on this week number 4. It is week 4 of action, I think. Right? I get the numbers confused.
Week 4. Yeah.
Week 4. Okay. The week 0 thing throws me still, and that's not a shot at week 0. I promise. It's just the math gets a little confusing for a simpleton like me. Okay. So here's what we got. really want to thank Coach Paige Wofford for joining us from the Bojangles drive-through line. I didn't have breakfast this morning. I'm extremely hungry and a little thirsty. Could use some sweet tea.
Before we go off Bojangles, can we get the cinnamon biscuit back? They bring it in, they take it away. It's 2 times now. It was my favorite, and harsh take here or
no, don't do it.
Hot take. It's better than the Bowberry.
Nope.
Better than Bowberry.
Nope. Get out of here. See ya. I prefer the Yuva, which is a Cajun filet biscuit, pimento cheese on a Bowberry biscuit. I find that to be fascinating. Have I had it? No, but I want to try it really, really badly. And I don't think that would go well on a cinnamon biscuit.
We got the state fair coming up soon, and no offense to you, I love them, but it just screams hamburger on donuts.
Hey, donut burger will change your life. Donut burger will change your life. It'll change your life. Just trust me. Okay, we've got to hit the remaining games in the upstate, and then we got to go over to the PD because we got some really good games in the PD tonight, as we do in the upstate. The Emerald Vikings are at the Broome Centurions tonight, and I wanted to hit on Greenwood and Lexington really quick. Lexington going to Greenwood. Greenwood, folks, is legit. I'm serious. I think this team could win a state championship. I really, truly do. They had a dramatic win last week, 42-41 in OT. Jay Duncan went into the record book. He had 13 catches last week against Dorman. That set a single-game school record. His 3 receiving touchdowns, all in the first half, tied the mark. He also finished with 167 receiving yards, the 9th highest in school history. South Carolina commit and Greenwood quarterback Tristan Lewis broke the school's single-game passing record with 423 yards and set a new all-purpose yard mark with 498. The biggest offensive performance in school history, according to these game notes. He also tossed 5 touchdown passes, the most ever by a Greenwood quarterback in a single game. If I am Stuart Young and I am Lexington, I have concerns about this game tonight. But again, Greenwood has Lexington tonight, then T.L. Hanna and Hillcrest to wrap up the September portion of their schedule, and they do jump into region next week on the road at T.L. Hanna. All right, we got to keep moving. The Rebels of Burns are at the Yellow Jackets of Greer. Landrum hosts Asheville Christian Academy. The Lawrence Raiders will host the Fighting Tommy Moody's of AC Flora, otherwise known as the Falcons. They're 3-0 and are really, really good. The Red Devils of Liberty host Palmetto tonight. The Predators of Fox Creek travel to McCormick. Someone's got to win that ball game. Both teams are winless. We just talked to Coach Wofford earlier. South Point is at Northwestern tonight. The Patriots of Powdersville got a big win over Abbeville earlier this season. They are at Pendleton tonight. The Razorbacks of Walhalla, 0-3, travel to Seneca to take on the Wildcats. They're 3-0. The St. Joseph's Catholic Knights will host Pickens tonight. The Blue Flame trying to get win number 2. The Golden Hurricanes of Wren took their first loss last week. They go to T.L. Hanna tonight after a bye week for the Yellow Jackets. The Wildcats of Blacksburg are at Union County. And the Woodruff Wolverines, 3-0, travel to Woodmont to take on the Wildcats. Great games in the upstate, but we got to hitch our wagon over to the PD before we get out of here.
Yeah, and we got the Trojans of Green Sea Floyds, 0-3, going to Aner, 1-2. We got the Raiders of Holly Hill Academy. Shout out to my good friend Justin Gentry, who's now the principal of that school, going over to Cross to play the Stingrays. Cross Stingrays. Then we got the Sherall Braves traveling to Darlington, 2 really good football teams. We have that game highlighted. Justin, tell me a little bit of what you think is going to happen with that game. How are these teams tracking so far?
Well, both teams are sitting at 2-1. Darlington is an interesting case study. And here's why I say that. They're averaging 174 yards rushing per game. That's pretty good, in my opinion. Anything over $125 as a team is good. You want to be over 100, obviously. But the problem is, Steve, they're not scoring. They're only averaging about 19 points per game to Sherrall's 27. But they're averaging almost 100 yards more per game moving the ball than Sherrall is. Key to the game tonight for the Falcons, our Darlington Falcons, if you will. They got to cash in. They're moving the ball. They've got to pay it off with points tonight against a Sherrall Braves team that is really, really physical. They don't run the ball well. They haven't tried to, really. They don't run the ball well. They do throw it all around the yard a little bit. They play good defense over at Sherrall right now. So a really underrated game in the state tonight, I believe, is the Falcons and the Braves.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, we move next. The Rock Hill Bearcats are traveling to Kellytown to play the Hartsville Red Foxes. They're 0-2, trying to pick up their first win. The Eagles of Scotts Branch are going to Lakeview to play the Gators. The Gators of Lakewood are going to host East Clarendon Wolverines. Lakewood's 0-3. East Clarendon is 3-0. Lakewood's searching for that first win of the season under Coach Willie Alford. The Panthers of Lake City, 0-3, traveling to Lamar for the slightly short trip over there. And then the North Myrtle Beach Chiefs, 2-1, playing Loris, the Lions of Loris. Justin, what do you see in this game? Tell me a little bit more about these two teams.
I'm just looking here, and I'm trying to get it pulled back up because my computer frits. So give me 1 second, and I'll be able to tell you more about this Loris Lions team, which, again, came into the season, I believe, a little off the radar statewide. But if you're looking at a game against North Myrtle Beach, here's why I highlight it, not just because Loris is 3-0 and really starting to turn some heads. You're looking at a matchup that is going to be difficult for Loris simply because of the momentum from North Myrtle Beach. But here's what I'll tell you. Don't be shocked if Loris wins this game by 2 touchdowns or more, maybe by more than 15 points. Loris comes out hot. They score early. They're averaging about 21 points per first half to North Myrtle Beach's 13. And again, averages 3 games in might be deceiving, but numbers don't lie down the stretch. Very balanced offense for the Lions, averaging about 350 yards per game, and they're splitting that just about evenly, running and throwing the football. They get to the quarterback, averaging about 1.5 sacks per game. Zamir Gerald sitting at about 166 yards per game passing. Khalid Sherman is their leading wide receiver with about 68 yards of those. Very balanced offense from Loris. I'm telling you, when you look at your Chief Sports app tonight and you see the score and you see Loris has beaten North Myrtle Beach by 13-20, don't be surprised. This is a pretty good Loris football team that's going to turn some more heads as we get to region play.
Yeah, and of note, they beat a much bigger school, Conway, 28-7 in week 2. So
yeah, Conway
exactly.
Struggling.
Yep. Dylan is going to travel to Marion. Marion's 0-3, looking to pick up the first win. The Tigers of Conway, 0-3, as Justin just mentioned, they're struggling. Going to Marlboro County to play the Bulldogs. Latta Vikings, 3-0, going to play Mullins, the Auctioneers in Mullins.
Xavier Leggett ain't walking through that door.
Yeah. The Knights of Stratford are going to Socastee, a long trip for them. We'll see how they make that trip. I mean, we have had a good win last week, of course. Stratford really took care of Fort Dorchester, but it's be interesting to see how they make that long trip to Myrtle Beach. West Florence, 1-2, going to play the Wilson Tigers for the crosstown rivalry there.
Mm-hmm.
We probably should have highlighted that game a little bit more, Justin. I mean, anytime 2 Florence teams meet is going to be pretty interesting. They don't like each other
at all. West Florence is trying to get their bearings after that week 1 loss to South Florence, week 1, trying to get over that game 1 loss to their rivals over at South Florence. But yeah, anytime you have a crosstown rivalry, especially in a football insane town as Florence is, with great programs that they have, should be a good one, and one that you might not highlight on the front end. We didn't, but one you might highlight on the back end and go, yeah, that was a heck of a ball game.
Yeah. Justin, let's go over the state rankings real quick, and then we're going to highlight some of the South Carolina Football Coaches Association Players of the Week and top performers from last week of week 3. 5A, we got number 1 Dutch Fork, number 2 Northwestern. Irmo is at 3. Greenwood rising up steadily at number 4. Somerville at 5. Burns at 6. James Island at 7. Are we sleeping on James Island a little bit? We'll see as the season goes forward. Dorman at 8. Gaffney at 9, holding on. They're 1-2. I lost a big game against Greenville last week. I know Greenville was happy to see that. Ridgeview in at number 10. 4A, number 1, South Point. Number 2, South Florence. North Augusta's number 3. Flora, AC Flora, the Fighting Tommy Moody's at 4. Camden, 5, 6, Bishop England. Seneca is ranked number 7. Daniel Lyons at 8. Midland Valley at 9. And Crestwood and Bluffton, who we highlighted both of those teams earlier, tied at 10. Justin, why don't you go down 3A for us if you got that in front of you?
I do. In Class 3A, BHP sitting at number 1 with 15 first-place votes, followed by Woodruff. Mountain View Prep comes in at number 3. Loris and Newberry round out the top 5. Dillon is at 6. Oceanside Collegiate sits at number 7, followed by Powdersville. Orangeburg Wilkinson at number 9. Marlboro County sitting at 2-1. They are number 10 in Class 3A. I'll go ahead and hit 2A while we're here. Hampton County leads it with 14 first-place votes. Batesburg-Leesville, number 2, coming off of that loss to Abbeville. They were number 1 last week. Strom-Thurmond is 3. Clinton is 4. Central is 5. Fairfield Central is 6. Sherrall 7. How about this, Steve? Of the top 7, everyone but Fairfield Central is receiving at least a first-place vote. Barnwell is 8. Saluda 9. And Timberland comes in at number 10 in 2A.
And to finish it up, 1A, Abbeville, number 1. Bamberg Earhart, number 2. Cross 3. Lakeview 4. Louisville at number 5. Vlada, 3-0. 6th. Ware Shoals, 7. Johnsonville, 8. HKT, Hunter Continental, at number 9. And Carver's Bay at 10. And now, just because – earlier I said we are passionate about highlighting players in this show, Justin. Let's go ahead and bring up the top performers from last week. And, we got Bryce Adams. Oops, let me get this whole share here. There we go. Bryce Adams from Chesterfield, top performer on offense. And Grady Wyndham at 96 for special teams. Aiden Crump at Blue Ridge for the top lineman in defense, Devon Toney. And looks like Devon Toney plays for Devon Toney, according to this.
Work. Incredible
yeah,
work.
Good job, Devon. We'll have to do a little bit more research to figure out where he's from, and I can do that here in a second. But let's go over the players of the week. Justin, can you mention some of these guys?
Sure can. Let's look at some of these. Just looking in the upper state offense, Bryce Adams from Chesterfield and Crawford Poole from Sherrall. We mentioned Sherrall's game tonight. If you look over at the 3A side of things, Ty DeBose from BHP, Zamir Gerald from Loris, Lorenzo Kitchings from North Charleston down on the special teams side of things. In 4A, Roper Winsky, quarterback for AC Flora on offense. Dexter Johnson from Daniel, the defensive player of the week. In lower state, Mike Doe from North Augusta, JP Sweat from Gray on the defensive side of the football. In 5A, obviously Tristan Lewis with that performance for Greenwood gets the nod in upper state there. Alex Sant gets the nod at St. James for offense. And Devon Toney is at Ridgeview. So he got the player of the game or player of the week on defense from Ridgeview last week. And Troy Stevens, the lineman, 5A lower state player of the week for offensive and defensive linemen. Troy Stevens from Cane Bay. So again, we'll try to highlight as many of these as we can every single week. Obviously, time runs short at the end of the program, but we want to make sure we highlight players, want to make sure we highlight coaches, want to make sure we highlight programs. We want to make sure to remind you that the Inside the Gamecocks preview show starts at 10, so in like less than a minute, on Inside the Gamecocks on the Chief Sports Network. Make sure to tune in there. Get you ready for Vanderbilt, South Carolina tomorrow night, 7:55 kickoff on the SEC network. But a lot of great action tonight. Download the Chief Sports app, follow along on the scoreboard, and have a great Friday night wherever you're taking in a football game. And we will see you. For Steve Hall, I'm Justin Hall. We'll see you next Friday morning, 9 a.m. on the Chief Sports Network for Four Quarter Friday.
From the Low Country to the Upstate, from the Midlands to the PD, we've got you covered. This is our state. South Carolina matters to us, all of South Carolina. We love talking ball, and we love talking ball with you. Thank you for tuning in to the 4-Quarter Friday High School Show. Every Friday at 9 a.m. on the Chief Sports Network. Now, back to Justin and Steve.